Welcome back to the Sovereign Ratio. Today I want to give a total crypto market update, particularly by looking at Bitcoin and some new data that I found that leads me to believe that we may have seen the top of this rally that we're in right now, and we might be looking to dump in the very close future, especially with the spot ETF approval, which I and others believe will be a sell the news event. Let's talk about it, dig into it, and I will share some things with you that I found. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, and leave me a comment below. So normally I save the best for last and do TA at the end of the video, but today I'm going to do it first for a very specific reason. First, what I want to show on this weekly chart, which I've pulled a fresh new chart for you all instead of having all my crazy lines and stuff on it, I went ahead and made a brand new chart. And what I want to show is simply just Fibonacci levels and why people are anticipating that Bitcoin is going to go to 48,000 in this rally that we've had. The reason for that is if you simply take a Fibonacci extension from the top of the previous bull market to the low of this bear market, you can see that the 618 rests at $48,538. And if we scroll back all the way back to the previous cycles, which we'll start with this one here first, if we do the same thing in 2019 from the previous top to that bottom, you can see that price did rally right up to the golden pocket between 618 and 65. And then if we go back to the previous one as well and do the exact same thing, we find something that's a little bit different. A lot of people say that it actually hit the 618 right here, but it did not. If we run the top of this down to the bottom of this, we can see that the 618 was at $830 and the 65 was at $865, and it didn't quite get there. In fact, it was actually, from a percentage basis, it missed it by just about 5%. And it eventually did get it later, but this was much further after the halving, which I had inappropriately placed in 2015, and I have since moved to 2016, just so you can see the line there. But you can see that just prior to the halving, it actually did not hit the 618 retracement. But here's something really interesting that I want to do. This is not conventional TA. In normal TA, when you want to see a Fibonacci extension, you go from the previous high to the current low to look for targets. So like the Fibonacci extension for this movement would have been $1,900 at the 1618, which everybody knows that the 1618 is the golden ratio and is basically my favorite number. But in this particular instance, using a Fibonacci extension in that way did not get us that golden pocket that a lot of people think has actually happened in every cycle. In this cycle in 2016, it did not happen. But I discovered something recently that is very unconventional, but is interesting. So if we actually take this and we extend it down to the previous bear market low on this extension, which is kind of hard to see, but it was actually right around $2. Believe it if you can imagine a $2 Bitcoin. It was actually around $2. If we pull that back down to the previous and we run it from this high to this low, you can see that this 618 retracement was hit. All right. And then if we go back and we do the exact same thing here, so let's go to the next cycle and let's pull this all the way back to this low. If we pull that back to this low, you can see once again, the 618 was hit. It's really not a huge difference between here and here. 618 was still hit. If we then go to the cycle that we're currently in, and we grab that Fibonacci and we extend it back to the previous cycle, again, this is not normal TA, but if we do that, then we have something very consistent because we see that we actually have hit the golden pocket in this current rally. Now, I'm not saying that this rally is over with, but I am saying that we're getting very close to the halving and we are in dire need of a correction. And this to me is reason to be like, I think it's probably time to wait this out a little bit. Because I also think that the spot ETF is going to be a sell the news event. And I do think it's going to be approved very shortly, if not in the next few days. But I also think it's going to cause a dump. And then we also in this video are going to talk about tax harvesting and why selling before the new year is a really bad idea for most people. So next I want to talk about some opinions that also mirror mine to an extent. First, Cathy Wood and I basically have the same opinion. I think that because of this massive rally, that this ETF is already priced in. And what's going to happen is when it's approved, we may see a surge in price up to like 50K, like a very quick wick candle up and then back down. And I think that's actually going to start the correction that we're looking for, because that approval of that spot ETF would also come within a new year when people who have made tremendous profits in this bull run, it would be safer for them to take profits, because then they don't have to pay taxes on that money until the following April. So if they take profits right now in December, they're going to have to pay taxes on that this upcoming April. But if they simply wait till January 1st to take profit on everything from last year, they're going to be able to transfer that capital into more crypto for all of 2024 and partially of 2025 without paying taxes until April of 2025. So right now, it just doesn't make sense for people who have made a lot of money to take any profits, because they're just not going to be able to reuse the money. They're going to have to pay the government taxes right off the bat in April, versus being able to reallocate that capital into more crypto to exponentially increase their gains into 2025. Another opinion of a popular influencer and very successful person in crypto is Chasse. He also believes that the ETF is going to be a sell the news event, but he thinks that the selling of the news is going to occur whenever it actually starts trading, which once it gets an approval, it could be days until it starts trading, or it could be months until it starts trading. We really don't know when those ETF exchanges are going to be active, but he believes that the sell the news event is going to be when the exchanges actually start trading, and a ton of Bitcoin that's been held up with like Grayscale is then available to be purchased in an ETF format. So a ton of Bitcoin hits the market, and there could just be a tremendous amount of selling at that point. There could be a tremendous amount of buying. I don't really know either way, but what I have heard recently is that the approval window to the time that it actually starts trading may not be that long. It may just be a couple of days. Chasse thinks it might be like a couple of months, but I've heard just recently that it might be a couple of days, which would further support my idea of a dump in January. In fact, Bitcoin looks like it's starting to make a pretty decent sized move to the downside now. It's really failed to hold these levels, and you can see it's rejected from this 44 area and then the 43 area, and then just continuing down to make lower lows and lower highs. This just doesn't look good to me. I'm not saying Bitcoin can't bounce back up here and retest 44 or even go back up to 48 and, do the original thing that everybody thinks. But right now, what I can tell is that it's really just not a super safe time to have a heavy allocation in the crypto market, because it needs to make a decision and have some finality behind it. I would love to see crypto just charge up and Bitcoin go to 80K like everybody seems to think it is on Twitter, and it seems to make you a really unpopular person by having a realistic opinion and not a complete bullish person. But it is what it is. People get, I don't know why people in the crypto space do this sometimes, but they just get so overwhelmingly flooded with bullishness or bearishness one way or the other that they completely fail to see logic. It's just this bandwagon perpetuated bullishness or bearishness that just continues to pile up until something finally explodes, and the point of max pain is the complete opposite direction of what everybody thinks is going to happen, because there's so much leverage in the market, there's so many longs or shorts in the market, and the point of max pain is to go the other direction. And I think that's what we're seeing right now, and if we're not seeing that right now, I do think we're going to see it in the very close future. This is not financial advice, this is just data, and this is what I see. If you're new here, please hit the subscribe button, the like button, leave me a comment below. I hope this gave you some food for thought on the market, and hopefully in the next couple of months, we can all have a massive dip to scoop up an incredible amount of crypto, and then through 2024 and 2025, be extremely stress-free and just watching the money pile up. Thanks for coming. Safe trading.